And tonight's focus is the idea that if we lengthen our exhale, then that has an impact on health. And I just wanted to explain why and remind those who've heard something similar before why that works so well. So one of the things that is there in society at the moment that isn't particularly yoga domain is this idea of lifestyle medicine, so that what you do in your lifestyle supports your health and helps to reverse chronic illness and lifestyle related problems. And that always really boils down to a few really obvious things like exercise more, eat less, drink less, obviously don't smoke, and diet is really important, a mainly plant-based diet. So that can all have a big effect. And if you're interested in reading what I would say is the best book on this, then look up Dean Ornish and him and his wife, Anne Ornish, who's a yoga teacher. Dean is a heart surgeon in the States and is world famous for pioneering lifestyle medicine and reversing heart disease, and has presided over lots of clinical trials proving that lifestyle medicine works to such an extent that it's funded by Medicare and other US health insurance companies. So the book that's kind of most accessible and written for the mass market is called Undo It, all about undoing lifestyle habits that are perhaps not supporting health. So the bit that we're adding on to that, which is also in the book because of Anne's background in yoga, is this idea that if we use the breath in particular, we can switch between two halves of the autonomic nervous system. And I know many of you have heard me mention this before. You don't really need to remember the technical terms if you haven't had a scientific background, but basically you have a sympathetic nervous system which revs you up and motivates you and gives you a lot of stress. But it's called the fight or flight. So we encounter that a lot. And then the other side of that is the parasympathetic, which quietens us down, which is the relaxation response. And it's that side of the system that has become really dampened down and is almost non-existent in some people because of lifestyles that we lead. Whereas if we look anywhere in the animal kingdom, you're going to find animals mostly in a state of parasympathetic response. They're mostly relaxed, and then they can in an instant go into the action, the running, the fight or flight, and then they're back in relaxation. Whereas lots of people are spending so much time in the stressed out, overstimulated state. And in that state, lots of stress hormones move around the body, which are really useful, like adrenaline, if you need to run away or fight something off. But as a long-term way of living, they take their toll on the body in many different ways. And in particular, for tonight's class, the way in which they dampen down and suppress the immune system. So people who are chronically stressed will often have cold after cold after cold all through the winter. So let's begin then with a little bit of breathing. I'm going to use the breathing ball, so you could just keep your eyes open for the beginning of the breathing practice. But initially, we'll just close our eyes and get a handle on how we're feeling this evening. Now take a moment to really notice what you feel in your body. And perhaps start simply with the outer body and its connection to the earth, which is going to be through the hips and the feet if you're in a chair, and through the hips, the shins and the outer edges of the feet if you're sitting cross-legged on the mat. And as soon as you bring your awareness to the outer body, you might straight away just feel yourself improving your posture. If you've been hanging out on your spine, sagging a little, you're probably just sitting a little more upright now. And we just think about bringing ourselves into a very comfortable stacking of the head over the heart, over the hips, so that the spine feels very spacious and the body feels very balanced, and we're not in this forward incline that is so common. And then go into the inner body, and by that I mean just noticing what you sense in your joints, in your muscles, in the soft tissues of the body, and whether you feel a sense of space and softness and ease there, which is also, in a way, linked to parasympathetic drive. Or do you feel quite sort of hard and tense? Maybe you can sense that the heart rate and your breathing has a little bit of tension in there, heart rate is a little bit elevated, and this would be a sign of a chronic sympathetic drive taking place. It doesn't really matter what you're experiencing, it's just about acknowledging where we are right now. And if you do have anything going on in your body that you're looking after tonight, just bring that into your awareness as well. So beginning to breathe now, and as usual, breathing in and out through the nose unless the nose is blocked. And taking a few breaths just to try and find a really smooth and easy rhythm. Not particularly trying to do our deepest breath yet. We will stretch the breath in a moment, but focusing first on noticing the quality of the breath that we're starting with, whether any of that tension that we might have felt in the body is translated into the breath, or whether you're able to find a really smooth and flowing rhythm. And pay particular attention to the transition. So transition between the end of the inhale, beginning of the exhale. You want to feel as if that is a really smooth turning point. And particularly and more easily accessible is that turning point at the end of the out breath. So in previous weeks and in last week indeed, we lengthened and stretched the breath by counting it. We're going to do something slightly different tonight, which is just to think of the in-breath having a beginning, a middle, and an end. We'll just focus on the in-breath to begin with. So next time you breathe in, just notice the beginning of that in-breath and try to then find the middle of that in-breath and then find the end of that in-breath, where you come to that comfortable fullness of breath, and then just let it go smoothly as you breathe out. Beginning, middle, ending into fullness, and long exhale. And just one more with the in-breath. If we check in first with the in-breath, and we can verify for ourselves that we're doing a reasonably full breath, it's going to give us the foundation from which to stretch the exhale a little bit further than if we were doing a shallow inhalation. So let the focus on the in-breath go for a moment, still doing a similar inhale, and instead doing the beginning, middle, and end of the out breath. So really noticing that, breathe into fullness, and then begin your exhale, find the middle of your exhale, and find the end of your exhale as you move to what we might call point zero, or to empty, even though it's not actually empty. And then the final step in this breathing practice is to allow the end of the exhale to move into a moment of stillness before the in-breath. So I'm not calling that a retention. I don't want you to put any strain on your breath and hold the breath out. Instead, just think about inhale, fullness, exhale, beginning, middle, end, pause, inhale, exhale, beginning, middle, end, pause. And do 3 more breaths like this in your own time. And then at the end of the next exhale, just release your breath into its natural rhythm. Keep the eyes closed for a moment longer if you're comfortable doing that. And just notice how you feel, perhaps a little more centered, calm, steady. So lifestyle medicine takes quite a lot of effort, requires a lot of changes in habits, and is a long-term project. But doing the breath, as you can see, it's just instantaneous. You can literally flick a switch in your body from sympathetic drive to parasympathetic drive, or if you're already there, you've increased the amount of activity on the parasympathetic nervous system, and you've triggered the relaxation response. So already, if we had some biomarkers, if we were one of the very busy labs at the moment, we would see the amount of stress hormone in the bloodstream decreasing for everyone, even if they're at high levels or low levels. This would be going down even more. And the immune system really functions well when there are these periods of parasympathetic drive and relaxation. So we're gonna start with the shoulders again as we did last week. We're just gonna let the arms hang, whether you're staying in a chair or sitting cross-legged. If you're in a chair, I'm going to give you an opportunity to come down onto the mat in a short while. So let's breathe in and take the shoulders forwards and up, and then breathe out and take them back and down. We're just going to do 3 of these, inhaling up and back, exhaling forward and down. And we'll just try and keep throughout the class this intention of a really smooth breath, or particularly trying to find that end of the exhale, and that little pause, so that the exhale is slightly stretched in relation to the in-breath. And then if you just bring your hands up and take the hands forwards, and what you're trying to do is bring the shoulders around and forwards. They may come up a little, that doesn't matter, but it's mainly they're coming forwards. And then we're going to draw back, have the palms facing up, and feel as if you're trying to squeeze the shoulder blades together at the back. Let's do that again. Forwards, and sliding those shoulder blades around the side of the ribs, as if you're reaching forward for something, and then drawing back, squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other. And once more, forwards and back, and let the arms hang. And then breathing in, bringing the shoulders as high as possible, right up towards the ears, and breathing out, taking the shoulders down and away as much as possible. Inhale up towards the ears, and exhale, releasing down towards the hips. And then from this position, just take the arms a little way away from the body and inwardly rotate. So you're pushing your palms away from you now, and then do the other way, outwardly rotate. And if you've got a lot of movement in the shoulders, the palms will also be turning out. So you've done a pretty much 360 rotation with the arms. Not all of that is in the shoulder joint, some of it is in this ulnar and radius in the lower arm, but we're really focusing on trying to maximize the inward rotation here. And the shoulders can come forward a little bit to aid that movement, and they can go back a little as you do the outward movement. So it's a bit like the first one, but now it's combined with this rotational movement. This is particularly good for the joint here, where the arm is joining the shoulder, and then it's interlinking with the mobility and movement of this whole shoulder girdle, the collarbone and the shoulder blade at the back. And to breathe in as we do the outward rotation, as we're rolling the shoulders back, opening the palms, lifting the heart, lifting the sternum slightly, and exhaling as we go the other way. Once more. And then give the arms a shake. Let's just come back to the first one we did and see if it feels any different. Inhale up and back, exhale down and forwards. And then give the arms a little shake. We did this one last week, we're going to do it again. We take the right arm up first, just bend the elbow, and then the left hand is going to draw the elbow back a little bit. And at the same time, we're pushing that elbow up towards the ceiling, so we're stretching through the armpit and through the side of the body. So try not to bully the elbow with this other hand, just sort of guide it back. We talked last week about how you can get the upper arm next to the ear or just behind it. That's a really good amount of shoulder mobility. And it helps us work on the upper back. So you might feel, and it would be good if you could feel a sensation that the upper back is just sinking a little bit deeper in between the shoulder blades. And then keep hold of this elbow, and we'll take this into a side stretch. And you don't have to go very far to feel quite a powerful stretch here. So just take that easy. We'll take 2 or 3 breaths here, and we'll use that long exhale to the pause just to invite a little bit of space to come in here. And this is an interesting stretch because it's tricep, it's latissimus dorsi, but it's actually mostly what we would call a connective tissue stretch. So this area feels tight. You haven't really got a muscle running up and down here. They're just all wrapping around. But the connective tissue that interlinks all the muscles of your body into one unit, that can get very short in the sides of the body from the shoulder down to the hips. So really notice how this side feels, because it could well be that when we do the other side, it feels different. So breathing in, coming up, take the arms up, and breathing out, release. Give the shoulders a little lift and roll once more. And now the left arm's coming up. Bend the elbow, drape the fingers down the back. Use the right hand to open that left armpit. Finding the stretch, finding some breaths here, sinking the upper back between the shoulder blades. It's quite a big movement, and shoulder problems are common. So if you're getting nowhere near this, if you're down here or you've got an injury or frozen shoulder or anything like that, you'll just be doing whatever you can do within a pain-free range of motion. And that is always going to be our guiding principle in every single pose we do. So breathing in, really pushing that left elbow up towards the ceiling, and then moving over to side stretch the other side and noticing how it feels now. Does this side feel tighter or the same, or is there more space here? And breathe, long exhale, pause. Allow those tissues to lengthen over the course of 3 breaths. Very good. And at the end of the 3rd breath, breathing in, come back to center, reaching up, exhale, release down, give the shoulders a little lift and roll. And then take the arms away from the body. We do this quite a lot. It looks like a very simple movement, but just to remind you, what we're trying to do is raise the arm without raising the shoulders. So let's do the first one really slowly. Here's the beginning of the in-breath. Shoulders haven't moved. Here's the middle of the in-breath. Shoulders haven't moved. Round about now, this might feel like it wants to happen. So for the last part of the breath, really draw the shoulders down as the arms go up. So it feels very spacious here. Turn the palms. Exhale, beginning, middle, end, pause. Turn the palms, inhale. Exhale. If you can really relax the shoulders, then if we do a few repetitions here, it should begin to feel as if these arms are becoming very, very light. It's almost as if the breath has infused the arms and the inhale is floating them up into the air, and the shoulders are remaining incredibly soft. as you raise and lower the arms. Let's make the next one our last one. And then give the arms a shake. Reach back, hold the chair if that's convenient, or just stretch the arms back, or indeed interlace the hands behind the back if that's comfortable. And take yourself into a back bend. You're going to try and limit the back bend to the top of the lower back, which is approximately from your navel upwards, just up to the base of the neck here. So this is the only part that we're focusing on back bending. So we're going to keep the neck absolutely neutral. So there's going to be a lot of drawing the shoulders back, squeezing the shoulder blades together, lifting the sternum at the front of the body, feeling that that upper back is sinking in between the shoulder blades. And then come back to neutral, release from that, take the palms onto the thighs and use the elbows as they bend out to the sides just to lower yourself into a forward bend. Coming to nearly parallel. And this is a good place to stop, just to feel the stretch in the lower back, just to press the hips and the two sit bones back towards the chair. Take the crown of the head away from you, tuck the chin in slightly. I'm just lifting my head a tiny bit to see the screen. But you can keep looking down, keep the back of the neck long. And then if you're okay in terms of no high blood pressure, or blood pressure is well managed, you can go head below heart a little bit. You can soften forward even more. Keep the hands on the thighs or let them hang down towards the floor. And then last of all, just tuck the chin in and allow the weight of the head to fall forward. So the crown of the head is pointing down towards the floor. That's just to give you a little bit of traction, extension in the back of the neck. Start to feel any sense of rising pressure in the head, just lift it slightly, come back up. I'm just going to take 2 more breaths here if you're comfortable. And then to come out, bend the elbows, bring the hands back onto the thighs, and then inhale, coming all the way up. And the last thing we're going to do in the chair, because I'm putting in several hamstring stretches tonight and several hip flexor lengthening postures. And I want to do the first one in the chair. If you're doing this on the mat, you just sit with your legs straight out in Dandasana, and it'll be a little bit more work for you, and you may need to sit on a yoga block. If you're in a chair, it's going to be a lot easier because you'd always lean back on the back of your chair if you need to. So breathing in, plenty of belt, knees bent, and then long exhale, stretch that leg away from you. Just going for getting that leg as straight as you can comfortably manage on the out breath. Try not to push through tension. If you feel the back of this right leg really tensing up as you stretch it, then that's a signal to just decrease the stretch and then gradually increase it with each repetition. So lots of you will be at different levels of flexibility. So this is really easy. Stretching the leg is really easy. You can stretch it and just use the belt to raise it slightly, and then coming out, inhale and exhale. So this is also a little bit like the 2 sides of the nervous system. So when we're bending the knee, we are relaxing the muscle. And when we're stretching the leg, if that muscle is tight, there's a lot of increase in activity and a lot of tension coming into the body, which is why people can get quite stressed with forward bends. So it's not exact replica of sympathetic and parasympathetic drive, but there are similarities, and there's an interlinking there in the way people practice. So what we want to do with all our forward bends, all our leg stretches, is to try to do them within the framework of a parasympathetic, a relaxation response, which is what we're doing when we find our best stretch on a long exhale, followed by that moment of pause. Okay, on the next in-breath, just release the right foot, take the foot down, and we'll do exactly the same with the left leg, easing into the stretch, breathing in, knee coming in towards the body, exhale, long exhale, pause into the stretch. Wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't a highly effective way of creating space and length in the muscles we're working on. Even though you might encounter other methods which look a lot more ballistic, a lot more active, but those methods will tend to result in a lot of micro tears in the muscle, which is felt as soreness the following day. And if you stretch in this way, you will increase the length of the muscle, but you won't damage it as you do the stretches. So let's make the next exhale the last one. And then breathing in, bend the knees, give the legs a little bounce up and down. So we're going to come down onto the mat. If anyone needs to carry on working in the chair, as usual, just unmute and say chair instructions, please, and I will provide them throughout. Otherwise, we're going to move the chair to the end of the mat and use it occasionally as a little bit of a prop. So we'll start on our backs, and we'll have a blanket, folded blanket, enough padding to bring the forehead up to level or even higher than the chin to lengthen the back of the neck. And as usual, just starting with a nice little easy knees to chest, rock the knees from side to side, roll the head the opposite way, and allow the back to soften if it feels a little bit stiff. This is our first twist of the day, twist of the practice. There'll be some more shortly. And then coming to center, just let that left foot go down. Keep hold of the right shin or the back of the right thigh. And we're just going to rotate the right ankle and in the other direction. We're going to pull the toes back and try to spread them. And as we exhale, we're going to point the toes and squeeze the toes under, and then pull the toes back once more. And then exhale, draw this right thigh in towards the body, just to a comfortable distance for you. Pause here for a moment. If it's okay for you, we're going to now slide this left leg away. And do it slowly. You don't want this right knee to move away from the chest as the left leg straightens. So the opening that we're looking for is happening as this left leg straightens. And when it's straight, push the heel away, pull the toes back, and make the left foot very active. So the toes are pulling back and they're spreading slightly, and you're feeling as if you're trying to broaden that left foot as you keep hold of this right thigh. Remember, any knee problems you can be holding here, and if this leg seems a long way away, you can use a belt around it. So we're just going to take an extra breath here. And exhale, release, take that right foot down, bring the left leg in, hold the left shin or the left thigh and rotate the left ankle, rotate in the other direction. Pull the toes back, spread the toes. Exhale, point and squeeze. Pull the toes back. Exhale, point and squeeze. And then on your next out breath, drawing this left thigh in and sliding the right leg away. When the leg is straight, pull the toes back, push the heel away, and find this very open position. So I promised you hamstring stretches and hip flexor stretches. This is the hip flexor being lengthened here, and we'll do more work on that muscle. That's a real key muscle of posture when we come into our lunge. So keep that right foot working now. This right leg is really active. Both the quads and the hamstrings at the back are active. All the muscles are engaged. Feels like all the muscles of this right leg are really drawing in close towards the bones of that leg as it holds the pelvis steady, and this drawing in of the left thigh is giving you an opening in the hips as well as this space in the hip flexor. And then release the left leg, slide the left leg straight, and breathing in, take the arms up into the air, and breathing out, take the arms all the way overhead if that feels okay for you. So this is our first back bend. So if you're feeling the lower back arching away from the floor, that's absolutely fine. But what you can do here is just feel as if you're pressing the shoulder blades down into the mat, and you're pressing the back of the pelvis down into the mat. And at the same time, you're reaching and lengthening the whole of the front of the body. Because you're lying on the floor, there's no compression on the discs. This is a really good place to get our back bend going. And all that shoulder work we did hopefully means that you're able to stretch the arms overhead here, and it feels reasonably comfortable. So what you might not be able to see that I'm doing is I'm really spreading the palms, spreading the fingers. I'm also spreading the bones of the feet, spreading the toes. So this is an active stretch along the whole of the length of the body, an active, easy back bend. And I'm also trying to do that nice steady breath. Inhale, long exhale, and pause. And just one more in breath. And then on the next exhale, just let the elbows bend a little, soften the legs, let the legs roll outwards, let the shoulders soften. Feel the spine softening and sinking a little lower down towards the floor. And then bring the knees in over the chest. Slide the elbows down, take the arms out at shoulder height if you have room. And we can just do a little bit of rocking the knees from side to side here. If you've got any lower back issues, just take the feet onto the mat and rock the knees from here. You can do it a little bit with the knees in over the chest if you don't have any issues there. It will really help to strengthen some of these lower abdominal muscles involved in spinal support. And then we're going to just take this into a held twist, and we'll do that by, on an exhale, taking the feet down and then taking the knees as far over to the right as we can, and try to keep the left shoulder blade down away from the left ear, but also still flat on the mat. Tuck the chin in and roll the head to look the opposite way to the knees. Now we're going to take 3 breaths here and use that long exhale and pause to feel, hopefully, just a softening in the spine within the twisting posture, which is held, but there's still that sense of softening a little deeper into the pose with each exhale. You don't have to do anything physically, just use the tool of your breath to kind of relax the spine with that long exhale, a little bit of parasympathetic drive to find a slightly deeper expression of the twist. On the next inhale, bringing the head and the knees to center, bring the knees back in, maybe just hugging the knees in for a moment, rocking from side to side, particularly if you felt any tension in the lower back. And then taking the arms away, exhale, feet down, knees dropping over to the left this time, head turning to the right, and 3 breaths in the twist here. Long exhale, pause. Thinking about that beginning, middle, and end of the exhale, with the final third of the exhale dying away into that moment of stillness before your in-breath naturally arises. On the next inhale, turn the head, bring the knees to center, hug the knees in, take one more little rock. And then we're going to grab our belts and do our second hamstring stretch. It's going to be 3 in all. So this one looks like it's going to start exactly the same way. We're going to take the belt around the right foot. It's going to do 3 of the inhale, bending the knee, and exhale, straightening the leg. Just notice how that muscle feels. It's already been significantly warmed up, but it may have just tightened a little in response to the stretching we did a few minutes ago. And at the end of the third exhale, we're going to hold this stretch for a few breaths. And again, you can either work here. If the hamstring's really tight, the leg may not even be vertical, and maybe a slight bend in the knee. More flexible, it's going to straighten, come to vertical. Even more flexible, it's going to track in a little. But it's really intelligent practice is to find a stretch where there isn't too much tightening going on in the back of the leg. It's when you feel that strong contraction that's resisting the stretch, and then you go beyond it, that all those micro tears happen and you feel the soreness the next day. Inhale, long exhale, pause. Throughout the exhale, just imagining this muscle lengthening, the tension in it dissipating, lessening, a little sense of space coming all the way from this right sit bone through the target muscle, through the knee joint, through the heel and beyond. And then breathing in, bend the knee, let the left foot take over the belt. Inhale and exhale. 3 dynamic stretches just to get us back into the groove of stretching this leg. And at the end of the third exhale, coming into the right static stretch for you, and using your breath as your tool, using your awareness of what you sense in the back of that left thigh to really guide your awareness as to where you need to work, so that it's really therapeutic and not harming the body in any way. One more long exhale, beginning, middle, end, pause. And then breathing in, bend that left knee, release the belt, and bring the knees in over the chest. Take a little rock from side to side. And then we're going to rock over onto our side and come all the way around and onto all fours. If you've got any of the knee issues we mentioned earlier, you can do this from standing and holding the back of your chair. And if you've got any of the wrist or the shoulder issues, then you're going to be working your cat by using the chair as a prop. So whatever position you're in, just beginning to find a really smooth undulation in the spine. We're going to try to use the fact that the neck and the lower back are very mobile to feel as if those two areas are coaxing the section of the spine in between, from the base of the neck to the beginning of the lower back. They're coaxing that area into following them into their deep movements. So feel as if as you tuck the chin in, it's helping the upper back to arch up. And as you release and lift the head slightly, not too much, that is inviting that deeper back bend. And also just using gravity here to drop the spine down into the space towards the floor on in-breath, and arching up on exhale. Keeping the same breath going, so the exhale movement is slightly longer. Exhale, pause. And you can just draw in your tummy muscles a little bit at the end of that exhale to accentuate that sense of squeezing out as much breath as possible, your longest exhale, and just kind of zipping up through the pelvis, through the deep abdominals at the end of each exhale as you enter that moment of transition and pause. So after the next cat stretch, just come into a suitable resting pose. If you've been working on all fours, you'll just be taking pose of the child. If you've been using the chair, you might just be resting the forehead on the hands like this. And then we're going to do a little bit of back strengthening work. And I'm going to invite you to use the chair. And again, this can also be done holding the back of the chair. I'll show you that in a moment. So we're going to look a little bit like we are going to do the cat again, but it's just the very beginnings of a back bend. And then as you breathe in, you're going to use the back muscles to arch away from the floor, and the elbows will come up. So rather than pushing with the hands to lift the spine, you're going to feel as if you're contracting these muscles either side of the spine to arch away and then lower down. We're just coming up with an in-breath and lowering down with an exhale. And then if you're feeling really strong, you can come right up onto fingertips here and exhale, palms and forearms down. And this does feel surprisingly strong, but it's also a very safe way to strengthen the back. So starting almost in a horizontal position. If any of you are doing that from using the back of the chair, you've probably worked that one out, but it's very similar. You keep the hands on the chair, but you are lifting and lowering the back using the back muscles. That's great. And then pause for a moment. If you need to take rest, then just rest the forehead down for a moment. And then our second one is to strengthen a little bit more into the glutes. So we'll bring the knees slightly closer together. We won't be moving the arms off the chair, so make sure that's nice and secure. We're not going to slide anywhere. And then breathing in, we're going to extend the leg back and just lift it slightly, and roundabout horizontal is great. You can pull the toes back, or you can point the toes away. What you don't want to do is let the hips rise, so keep the hips nice and level. That's inhale and exhale, and then the left leg, inhale and exhale. So just carry on with those for a couple more breaths. You're doing that from standing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So once more to each side, finishing with the left leg. And then just going to do one more thing, which is our lunge. So if you're really sure about your knee, you can do the lunge with just the blanket as padding and come into this position. But if your chair is nice and secure, I'm really preferring the depth of the stretch that we get if we use the chair. Remember the back foot here is hardly turned out, it's almost pointing straight forward. It can just turn it out a centimetre or two for stability, but make sure you're definitely feeling the stretch through the front of the thigh. You haven't opened that hip up and moved the stretch to the inside of the thigh. And this one we're just going to hold. So everything's good, stretched in the front of the thigh and through the calf and the heel at the back. This knee is nicely supported, particularly when it's on the chair. If you're on the floor, a little bit more important to make sure this knee is above or just behind the ankle and not in front of it. Fantastic. And then we'll just ease out of that lunge on that side and bring the left foot in and repeat that same posture on the other side. I don't really need to say for the millionth time that what we're doing here is we're working on our back bend, but we're working in particular on the muscle, the hip flexor, the iliopsoas muscle that gets really short from being in this chair sitting position. And almost everybody can feel that stretch through the hips. Most of it's going to be the hip flexor, but some of it's going to be the one quad muscle that crosses the hip joint. But if either of those are tight, it really can impinge on other aspects of our posture. So it's important to really do this stretch on a daily basis if you're doing a lot of sitting down. Fabulous. Okay, and then release from that. We're now up onto standing. We're going to be doing some work which will involve a little bit of balance. So if you think you might need the support at the back of the chair or place yourself near a wall, that would be absolutely fine. Make sure the feet are not going to slip. Take any socks off perhaps. Take yourself onto a wooden floor if you prefer to be off your mat. I'm going to stay on mine just for the camera angle. So we'll begin as we often do, just by rotating those shoulders out, turning the palms out, a nice full in-breath, bring the palms together above the head, and then exhale, draw the palms down through the midline of the body and release. Breathing in, feel as if you're drawing that breath all the way up through the soles of the feet to the crown of the head, and exhaling, long exhale and pause, take the breath back down to the feet. Just to bring our awareness to the feet as we come into this standing position. Next inhale, we're going to lift the toes as the arms go up and relax the toes down as the arms come down. Lifting the heels slightly as the arms go up and ease them down as you exhale. Two more times, once for the toes, arms up. Relax the toes. And once for the heels. And relax. Give the arms and the legs a little shake. Take the feet just a little bit wider apart and then cross the arms across the chest like this, right elbows on top of the left. And then breathing in, expand and take the arms back as far as you can, and then breathing out, still right arm on top, and cross the elbows as much as you can and wrap the hands around the shoulders. Inhale, open up. This time the left arm will be on top. Exhale and wrap. Inhale, open up. Keep the shoulders relaxed and down on that inhale, and then wrap. Right arm on top. Inhale, opening up, and exhale, left arm on top. Inhale, open up, exhale, release. Give the shoulders a lift and roll. Give the arms a shake. Bring the elbows up so they're level with each other and level with the shoulders. And then just take the right elbow slightly higher. Breathing in, draw the elbows back. And breathing out, let the right elbow cross. And just bring the back of the hands together. The full wrapping would be fingertips of this left hand just reaching the palm of the right hand, but that's quite a big wrap. Here you're going to breathe in, just lift the elbows slightly, breathe out, release and unwind. Coming wide, left elbow slightly higher, exhale, left crossing the right, spiral the arms, inhale, lift the elbows, exhale down and release. Give the shoulders a little lift and roll. You can do that one more time. Palms facing in towards each other, right elbow slightly higher. Inhale. Exhale. And cross and spiral. Inhale, lift the elbows. Exhale, lower. Inhale, open, lift that left elbow. Exhale, wrap and spiral. Inhale, lift the elbows. Exhale and release. Do anything you need to do just to release the shoulders, quite a strong stretch there. And then just soften the right knee, take the weight into the standing leg, and we're going to breathe in and lift the right leg. Exhale, draw it in if you can. Inhale, straighten the arms, and exhale, lower. If you're losing your balance, you're just going to go inhale and exhale. So you're just going to do it on one breath. But if you can, you're going to go inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So 4 breaths if you can, 2 breaths if it's not your best night for balancing. And if you need to stabilize yourself with a chair or a wall, that's absolutely fine. So once more to each leg, just finishing with the left leg. And then our final little bit of balance work is a modified version of the eagle pose. So when we were crossing and spiraling the arms, that's the arm and upper body action for eagle pose. With the leg pose, if you do the full spiral, there can be quite a lot of torsion on the knee. So we're going to do a more simplified version. Still, even if you are doing a simplified version, if you've got hip issues or had a full hip replacement, then crossing the leg is not a good idea. So in that case, you're just going to lift the leg to do the balance part. And if you can, you're just going to hook it over and then unhook it. So again, this could be, it could be bend the knees, inhale, exhale, cross, inhale, uncross, and stand up. Or you could just go inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale. So just find the way that's going to work for you. We're going to just, instead of crossing the arms, just going to hold them in prayer position. So let's working together now. Breathing in, bending the knees. Exhale, right leg crosses over the left. Inhale and cross. Exhale, stand. Breathing in, bend the knees. Exhale, left over right. Inhale, exhale. So just moving in and out once more on each leg. And the next time you do the left leg, make that your last one. And we're just going to finish this. We've kind of built in a little bit of a Utkatasana leg position with that practice. We're going to come a little more deeply into that Utkatasana. And then with the knees bent like this, you're going to rotate clockwise and just draw yourself into a little bit of a twist as you breathe out. Inhale to center and exhale to the other side. Just seeing as much as possible how you can keep the spine long through the crown of the head, through the tailbone, so there's no rounding of the back and there's no pushing your bum out, no overarching the lower back. Keep the spine nice and straight and exhale into the twist. Inhale to center, exhale. And for the last one to each side, keep the head looking down and just turn the shoulders. Inhale to center, exhale, turn the other way. And inhale, come up. Place the hands on the thigh and a nice little forward bend. Tuck the chin in, let the head hang, and come as deeply into that forward bend as you would like to. Lovely. And then coming out of the forward bend, it's coming up halfway, first of all on an in-breath and then all the way up on the next in-breath. And we're going to come down to the mat, do one more pose, and then we'll do our little inversion using the chair. And this last pose is a back bend. And I'm conscious not all of you will have yoga bricks or yoga blocks. So I'm just going to show you how you can use them if you have them, or you may have something like a meditation cushion you could use. So this is a supported shoulder bow or Dvipadapitham position. Don't want anything under the back of the head for this one. You're going to press into the feet, the hip width apart, and just support the pelvis here. And if you wanted to go a little bit higher, you know, I could put 2 yoga blocks on the edge. Wouldn't go to the long edge, but one yoga block doesn't work very well. It's a little bit too bendy. You might snap it. You might not be comfortable. And remember, the support is right on the back of the hips, the back of the sacrum. It's not actually on the lower back. So if you don't have that support, you're just going to breathe in and coming up, and breathing out, rolling the spine down. And you might do a couple of those and then hold the position, or you might do a couple of those and then slide your support underneath and just take 3 really good quality breaths in a held Dvipada or a supported Dvipada. And if you need to release down earlier, that of course will be absolutely fine. Try and keep that fullness of in-breath, a long exhale and pause. And just one more breath. If you're using a support, just press into the feet, lift the heels slightly to slide your support out, roll the spine down, draw the knees in, rock from side to side. So now closing pose, we can support the back of the head now. Might come back to 1 or 2 blocks under the pelvis. The lower legs are going up onto the chair so that we have our supported mild inversion, safe for everybody. It's the alternative to shoulder stand or headstand or anything like that. And in this position, you may may want to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or just have a soft gaze up to the ceiling and try to soften the shoulders, the arms, the legs. Really allow this pose to do its job, which is a winding down, closing pose after the active practice and as a transition to our relaxation. There's a softness to that in-breath, even though it still has a feeling of comfortable fullness. And there's a sense of release of the exhale, but still encouraging it to be long and to die away into that moment of pause. And then at the end of the next exhale, just gently releasing, taking the feet down, sliding out any support under the pelvis, and coming into a comfortable relaxation pose for you. Any supports under the knees or anything else you may need, please feel free to have them. We're going to do just a little bit of tense and release as we did last week, but this time using the long exhale and the pause on the release phase. And again, it's a little mini reflection of our theme of parasympathetic drive, increasing relaxation response. So starting with the right leg, as you breathe in, pull the toes back, tense the leg, and even lift it an inch off the mat if you want to. And then long exhale and pause as you release that leg and allow it to soften. Breathing in, tense the left leg, lift it slightly if you want to. Long exhale and pause. Squeeze and tighten all the muscles around the pelvis. Don't actually lift the pelvis off the mat, but feel it lifting slightly as those muscles contract. Long exhale, soften the pelvis down to the floor and pause. Breathing in, really fill the lungs with air, exaggerate the movement, feel as if you can stretch the spaces between each rib. And long exhale, soften the ribs. Exhale, pause. Just pay attention to the right arm and right shoulder. See if you can slide it down the back a little bit. And then stretch the arm away, lift the arm slightly, spread the palms. Inhale, fullness of breath. Tense the right arm, draw the shoulder down and back. And long exhale and pause. Do the same on the left side, work the shoulder into position, slide it down the back, spread the fingers, inhale, stretch the palms, stretch the arm, tense the arm. Long exhale and pause. Breathing in, slightly tuck the chin in, feel as if you're stretching the crown of the head away from you, actively stretching the back of the neck. And long exhale and pause, relax the neck. Breathing in, screw the eyes up, squeeze the eyeballs, squeeze them, tense the jaw. And long exhale, soften the eyes, soften the brow, soften the chin and the jaw. Let the tongue lie softly in the mouth. And one last whole body tensing. Inhale and whole body relaxing. Long exhale and pause. Stay in your relaxation for a minute or two longer. Letting go of your breath now, allowing your breath to be in its own natural rhythm. Being aware of exactly how you feel, noticing the extent to which you have created both a sense of space in your body, but also a sense of softness and release. And now allow your breath to deepen slightly. Move the fingers, wriggle the toes, and stretch your arms and your legs in any way that feels good. If you're lying with the legs straight, when you're ready, bend the knees, roll onto your right side, and then make your way back up to sitting. You could come back onto the chair like me, or you could come up to cross-legged. If you're staying on the mat, support the pelvis enough to have that effortless straight spine with all the curves present. Just keep the peacefulness of the practice and the relaxation about you as we finish with a closing breathing practice. Just going to rest the palms on the thighs, can be palms down or palms up. And if you like to take a mudra, just bring the thumb and the index finger together. Eyes closed or downcast. And reconnecting with our breath work tonight, breathing in through the nose, comfortable fullness of breath. Exhale, beginning, middle, end, pause. And we're going to do 5 of these breaths. And we're going to try to place our awareness in that moment of stillness at the end of each exhalation. So work at your own pace for 5 more breaths. And at the end of your 5th breath, just hold that focus at a still point in your body or in your breath. Everything is moving, time, our hearts, our breath, our bodies. Everything is moving, and yet there is this still point within us, which when we connect to, really feels like a great place to anchor the essence of ourselves. And then allow your breath to deepen a little, coming back into its natural rhythm. When you're ready, blinking, open the eyes. Thanks very much for joining me for this class tonight.